Hello, I'm starting a new adventure this year, going into 2026. I'm finding a way to remove myself from being dependent on a corporate job into something more independent. Now, there's nothing really wrong with my corporate job. I have a really good group of people I work with. The company's a large established company and it has its quirks, but it's okay. And I understand how it works. I understand what they need me to do. It's not really giving me all I want out of life. So, what else is there? What more could I do? Well, before I came to Silicon Valley in 2000, I ran my own technical writing consulting firm, which means I hired writers. I also did some of the writing. I was learning how to run a business. But that got me here, and that quadrupled my salary. And coming to work in corporate was twice the pay for about half the work. But now I've gotten used to that level of productivity. And what more is there? And so it comes down to how people fit in with the larger society. And you may ask yourself, how do I fit in? One way to find out is to leave home for a short period of time, like an extended vacation. One thing I did before there was trouble in the Middle East, all the trouble they have today, I volunteered on a kibbutz in Israel in the 1980s. It was just after Israel had given back the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt, and it was a peaceful time. Shimon Peres was the prime minister, so it wasn't the nonsense going on there that there is now. But being away from home in a group of strangers, I was with volunteers who were isolated away from the rest of the kibbutz population only because we didn't speak Hebrew. All of us were from Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the United States. Those who did come in and spoke Hebrew were brought into the main society right away like they were a lost child or lost grandchild. But those of us who didn't were on our own. And so we had a society of about 30, 40 people. And the way I fit in was I helped coordinate things. I was kind of like the logistics guy. I made things better, didn't have the best ideas. I made the good ideas work out better. And I found that way also when I was working in Canada. I come from Canada, that I was the guy in the retail store that everybody came to about how to use the computer. Brand new IBM system at the time, green screen terminals. This is before people had laptops or even iPhones or cell phones. And I was the guy who figured out the menu system and explained it to ordinary people. So taking that skill and then being enabled to move into the IT department, I was hired as a system operator for an IBM system with no computer background whatsoever because I could speak to the people in the stores in their language. And then one day the manager asked us to document what we were doing, and I wrote most of the documents. And I said to him, can I finish this project on my own time? Because I was thinking about what if I get laid off? And they accepted a contract. I had to come up with a company name and a tax number, but they let me work in my own time at a contractor's fee, low pay at the time, but good for starting out. When they finally did lay me off, they kept the contract and I grew it into a business. That business led to meeting people and then finding my way to Silicon Valley, which I've been working here for 25 years. So the reason I tell you all that is it started with figuring out who I was and how I could contribute, finding a way to contribute, and then using that professionally and then independently, and then through meeting people, finding opportunities and pursuing them. It took a lot of nerve to leave Vancouver when I was 37 and move to San Jose unknown. But because I had that experience in Israel and with running the business, I knew how I would fit in with the startup I joined in San Jose as their technical writer. And then opportunities came up, they got acquired, and I became a product manager. And I've been a product manager ever since '02. So now, where do I move on? Not necessarily technical writing. That's been kind of perversely changed by AI tools, and nobody's really sure what's going on because they think they can just write documents by saying to a large language model, write me the documents. And it's a lot of work that goes on to writing documents. It's not just the writing, it's the organization, it's the way of explaining to people what's going on, and it's a way of talking to and building relationships with the subject matter experts who aren't always thrilled to see the technical writer. They're busy, but if you build a relationship with them and they see the value, they'll make the time. So how does that fit in with the new world with AI? Well, what I'm seeing as I go out to different meetings is there's all these very clever people with good ideas who are looking for funding, and some will get funding, some won't. 2/3 of those who do get funding will never see a return on their investment. It's just the harsh reality of this business. But they seem to have a gap where their very clever idea is hard to explain to ordinary people who they intend to use it. So if they're building something for professionals like medical professionals, okay, those people are highly trained. They'll probably be able to be brought to and made familiar with those tools very quickly. But if they're going to an office where I work, or even retail, or a place where people aren't as well educated, there's a real gap. And you have to treat these people with respect. It's just normal human interaction. And there's a way to do that that I've learned over 25 years. So what I'm going to explore in 2026 is a way to do that independently in my own time and build a business that probably will be 18 months of hard work with nothing to show for it, and hopefully some return towards the end of the second year, and then a very productive and fulfilling third year. This is just the beginning, so let's see how it goes. Come along with me. I'll share with you what I'm doing the best I can, and let's see if we have some connection.